Welcome into Prediction Markets Edge. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Raineri. And over the next half hour, we got a great show planned out and some hot topics and also some investment possibilities, Joe. Get in, get out, and get paid. That's what we're here to do.
I'm looking forward to it. It was a fun last week's show, Donnie. I think some of these markets are even more fun this week.
The coaching carousel in the NFL, there's a lot of spots open here, and they're starting to get filled. Let's take a look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin, coached for 19 years in Pittsburgh. He decided to step down, so Pittsburgh needs a new head coach. If we take a look, the leader in the clubhouse right now with a 40% chance is Chris Shula, followed by Brian Flores. Two defensive minds at the top of the leaderboard, followed by Nathan Shieldhouse, Robert Saleh, and Grant Udinski. Interesting times in Pittsburgh, looking for a new coach, Joe. Who's that going to be?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting here because some of those names, Donnie, are also in line and are being rumored with other jobs. So this is one of those situations where we might be able to hedge ourselves here on a couple of names across the board, including Brian Flores, who I think is going to be a very interesting possibility as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Keep an eye on him. I certainly like the price.
Defense is what the Pittsburgh Steelers usually like to go after, Joe. And again, only three coaches. Chuck Noll, defense. You take a look at, previous coaches, Bill Cowher, defense. You take a look at Mike Tomlin, defense. Chris Shula is the leader right now, defense. An investment with him with a $100. Let's take a look at what that payout would be. $250. But for me, I look at Nathan Shieldhouse, the Los Angeles Rams passing coordinator, at 10% as a chance, Joe. Only 35 years old. That means if it all goes well, they could be in Pittsburgh for the next 20 years, talking about Shieldhouse and also the Steelers, but also Shula, not old himself, Joe, only 39 years old.
Yeah, he isn't, but I tend to think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think defense is going to be the way they go. And don't forget, there was a history there with Flores and Tomlin, and he had been there. So if Tomlin has any influence about, with the Rooneys on who his replacement should be, it wouldn't shock me if the inside track there is for Flores, because I think they're going defense one way or the other.
That graphic here that you see on Kalshi lists Brian Flores at a high of 23.5 over the past 24 hours, Joe. That price point has fallen here. You can get him around a 19-cent share if you invest in Brian Flores, one of the very best coordinators in the NFL, but also some outside the lines topics that the Steelers probably would have to answer before he could become their head coach. But certainly, nonetheless, the Pittsburgh Steelers is a spot you're going to want to watch. Let's take a look now at the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. It's Aaron Rodgers, or is he still going to be that quarterback? The question asked here on the Kalshi Marketplace, will Aaron Rodgers retire before the 2026-2027 season? That stands at 72%, Joe, as a chance.
Yeah, and that's slightly cautious, I think, because a couple of different markets I've seen, Donnie, anywhere from around 79 cents to 72 cents, right? Somewhere in that ballpark there. Listen, Rodgers loves attention, right? Does he retire quietly? The market here is saying yes, likely due because of lack of options, but injury. But if I'm buying 79 cents on Rodgers or even 72 cents, doing the logical thing, I think that's a risky move here. I think the value is actually on the no at around 31 cents, not because he should play, but because he might drag this thing out past the contract settlement date just to stay relevant in the news, Donnie.
I was all over him playing another year if Mike Tomlin came back. Mike Tomlin doesn't come back, and also understanding how emotional Aaron Rodgers is with Mike Tomlin stepping down as the head coach here. I don't think he does, but understand this too. The rule summary suggests the retirement must be intended to be effective immediately when he announces it, meaning he can't go into August being a player for, let's just say, the Pittsburgh Steelers and say, I'm going to retire, but effective at the end of next year. Once he announces the retirement, he cannot play in a game, so it must be effective immediately before the first regular season game. Does that change any of your opinion, Joe, on this?
No, I'm still thinking he is going to drag this thing out as long as humanly possible. And the longer he drags it out, Donnie, I think the more value we're going to have here on the no.
Yeah, and look at the spike there. Just a few short days ago, a 44% chance for him to retire, spiking all the way up now at 72%. So changing the coach, maybe changing the quarterback, and changing his plans. A $100 investment on Aaron Rodgers retiring, that's going to pay you back $139. The Baltimore Ravens, a division rival of the Pittsburgh Steelers, they also are looking for a new head coach. Harbaugh's out. Who's coming in? Do you know the favorite in the marketplace here at Kalshi? It's Jesse Minter, another defensive mind at 45 cents here, followed also by a guy we just talked about, Brian Flores, Joe.
Yeah, and this is one of these situations with all of these coaches' markets, Donnie, where, smart traders keep an eye on some flight trackers and logs, because we know that there could be an opportunity here where maybe there's an interview, a second interview set up here, maybe with the Ravens or with Pittsburgh. I still think Flores is a very interesting bargain price here across the board. It feels like he's getting a job, or at least a job offer. He's going to be a head coach again. The question is, where does he fly to for that second interview? That's going to be the interesting part. I think you can make some, I think you can absolutely get positive investments here by looking just to see who's going to get that second interview before it's all said and done.
I love looking at the graphs, too, because you can almost see it in real time, almost like that stock market strategy. Did you know, Joe, on January 11th, Jesse Minter was trading at a 6.2% chance, and then you see him today, 45%. And as you talked about it, where there's smoke, there's typically fire. If you believe that Minter's going to be that head coach, $100 investment is going to pay back $223. If you believe that they might go offense and not go with Jesse Minter, $100 is going to pay back a $176 price point here. Understand this, Joe. It looks like Baltimore might be leaning more towards defense. Are we wrong with thinking that? Because Lamar Jackson, I want him to take it to the next level. McDaniel, Kingsbury still in that marketplace. Clint Kubiak, could they be thinking offense?
They might very well be. But again, the shelf life, I think, for Lamar Jackson and that offense, I mean, you're looking about a Derrick Henry we thought he was running out of gas this year. What's he going to be like next year? I think the defense has not been up to snuff there in Baltimore. And had it been, I think they would have been more than capable of making a run in the postseason. So wouldn't shock me if they're leaning defense here.
Mike McDaniel in the marketplace, if you feel they're going to go offensive, he's the favorite at a 12% chance. So if you invest $100, that pays back $910. If you go to the no, Joe, $100 investment pays back $105. Seems like we're keeping it here in the AFC North, and rightfully so. Cleveland, Joe, their next head coach. Stefanski is out. You know the leader right now? Grant Udinski. He's 30 years old. He's the offensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Followed closely behind Mike McDaniel and Mike LaFleur. Looks like offensive prospects we're looking for in Cleveland, Joe.
Yeah, and I do think that's the direction they're going. But I also think that maybe a contract on both Udinski and the current, what was the current DC there might not be a bad look, because it would not shock me if they go defense, considering that is the most stable and best part of their team. But with a team with so many question marks at the quarterback position, maybe a young offensive mind, not a bad way to look here, Donnie.
It's interesting because usually the yin and the yang of franchises, right, Joe? You go with the offensive guy who was young and Kevin Stefanski, then you move on to go to the defensive guy. But obviously now you're trying to work that offense out. Who's going to be your quarterback? We don't know. Jim Schwartz trading at 13 cents. If he's the head coach, the defensive coordinator, that pays back $770 in the marketplace. If they don't go offensive, Joe, it's got to be Schwartz, no?
I agree. I think only who's the offensive mind that they would go instead of Schwartz. I believe he is likely the leading candidate when all things are said and done here.
Top three guys, Udinski at 38%. You take a look at McDaniel, 27%, and LaFleur at 25%. Giving you all those angles on Prediction Markets Edge. It's Joe and Donnie. We'll be right back after this short break.
Or sell. Tua has made his last start for the Dolphins. Feels like Sam went easy on this one.
if I could be that crazy guy, was it Jim Cramer? Buy. Yeah, there's no way he's playing for the Dolphins again. After he said that statement, there was no way in hell anyway. But once again, new coach, new GM. I don't know how they're going to do the cap hit. It's massive.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
New York Giants, they fired their head coach, Brian Daboll. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Prediction Markets Edge, Donnie Rightside and Joe Raineri. The topics never stop. The investments here could make you, well, hopefully at least some money. That's the goal at this point right now. Football's still on the mind, Joe. Talking about those professional ranks and who's going to be the coaches and where that carousel ends. How about a little college football championship action? Monday Night Football. Miami is going to take on Indiana for the national championship game. Indiana is the favorite, but what happens, Joe, if I would have told you last February you could have invested in Indiana going at a 1% chance, who now sits today at 75% chance to win the college football championship? How about that investment?
Yeah, we like to call this, though, the public darling premium that you're paying right now, Donnie, if you didn't get in a year ago. I mean, Indiana at 75 cents on this contract is a massive favorite for a college title game, which historically very volatile, Donnie, and we know this. And the market has just fallen in love with Indiana, the Cinderella story. And when the public falls in love, the price gets inflated. And Miami at 25 to 27 cents, I think, is the value buy. You're getting a Power 4 champion caliber roster at a nearly 4-to-1 odds in a 2-horse race, and I will take those odds anytime, Donnie.
You know what I like, too, about this in the marketplace? Sure, you can invest, let's just say, in Indiana winning a championship and you take the 75% chance, or Miami as the underdog at 27 cents, which is what they're trading at. And if you buy the Miami Hurricanes to win the championship, a $100 investment is going to pay back $371. But also, Joe, you can invest in spreads and also totals here in the predictive marketplace. If you say, all right, well, I do think Indiana wins this game, and they do cover the point spread, 52-cent chance, $100 pays back $193 there. But also, you could take Miami with the points as well. A lot of different ways to look, but if you're looking way back, even if we take, Joe, and slide back this little graph that we have, Indiana, as much as in October, was still trading at only 8% to win a championship. So it wasn't one of those we expected on opening day Indiana to get there. We knew they had a good football team, but boy, the public has really bought in once we got to the college football playoff.
And it's priced accordingly, Donnie. I mean, here is the premium. That's what you're getting. And we know in these spots, I mean, you know, college football, there's a lot of variance here, and this is a very volatile market. So getting nearly 4-to-1, Donnie, to me, is absolutely worth the investment on that contract.
How about this? Let's flip it over to golf. And you say, well, why are you going to be talking golf at this point? There's been some huge rumors here coming from the Live Golf Tour and the PGA Tour. So let's take a look at this question. Who will rejoin the PGA Tour before February 3rd, 2026? If we just take a look at the rule summary here, if Cameron Smith, we use him as an example, rejoins, applies to rejoin, or announces that he will rejoin the PGA Tour before February 3rd, 2026, then the market resolves to yes. 3 guys are listed here, Joe. Jon Rahm, Cameron Smith, and Bryson DeChambeau. Which one of those 3 guys, if you feel any, will rejoin the PGA Tour? Or would you take a contract out and say, you know what? I'm just going no at this point.
Well, this is also known as the calendar trap, right? Because look at that date, Donnie. February
Correct.
3rd. It might as well be tomorrow in market terms, right?
Yeah.
Corporate mergers and those types of things and contracts. For these guys to rejoin in 2 weeks, the paperwork and the attorneys needed to get that done would be over the top. I mean, 6 cents and 5 cents feels low, but it's actually expensive because this is dead money. I mean, basically what you would be looking at is investing in hope that a surprise announcement drops at Pebble Beach or something. I would be looking to sell these positions all day if you can, because the legal hurdles are they move too slow for something like this to take precedent and actually come through for you.
And by the way, if you are looking at some of these price points of where they've been, 28.3% chance, Bryson DeChambeau, that was January 13th. That wasn't too long ago. He's now trading at 5% as a chance now. So most people believing that he is not going to be rejoining the PGA Tour, announcing it at least by February 3rd, 2026, which is right around the corner. Rahm, Smith, both have similar numbers as well. So for me, I don't think either one of those 3. If you did, Joe, take a flyer on which one of these guys would say before February 3rd he's out, who would it be? Rahm, Smith, or DeChambeau?
It would have to be DeChambeau simply because his contract is the next up. He's playing on the final year of his deal with Liv. So the other guys have longer contracts, would be much harder to get out of, I believe. But if DeChambeau wants to leverage it, he would be the only guy I would take a flyer on.
Let's have some more fun here on the PGA Tour next year. You know you get the 4 majors in, Joe, and there's some really good golfers out there. Scheffler, McIlroy, DeChambeau, Rahm, Ilberg, and all the rest of the fellas. Scotty Scheffler, a 57% chance of winning a PGA Tour major. Would I be wrong by saying I want to invest in the no on Scotty Scheffler? And that $100 investment would pay back $213 here. Everybody thinks Scotty's going to win. There's like 100 golfers in those fields each and every week in the majors, the best golfers in the world. I'm going against the grain, Joe. Give me the no on Scotty Scheffler. How about you?
Yeah, this is Tiger Woods pricing, right? I mean, Scotty Scheffler at 56, 57 cents is trading like prime Tiger Woods, right? And in golf, Donnie, to your point, the field is usually the strongest investment here, because for one man to be priced at greater than a coin flip to win one of the 4 majors is an incredible mark of respect, or, Donnie, overhype and overconfidence. It would feel like Rory at 33 cents might be the whole narrative discount here that you can be looking for, and the better investment. Because if Scheffler has a bad week at, let's say, the Masters, boy, that 56-cent price crashes in a hurry by the time we get to the PGA.
How about Brooks Koepka, reinvigorated, coming back to the PGA Tour? If you feel he can win a major next season, Joe, one of the 4, he's trading at 19%. $100 investment would pay back $527. Re-energized. We always like to see it, Joe. Like, maybe he just needs a change of scenery. Maybe that's all Koepka needs. What do you think about Koepka? Yes or no in 2026?
I don't think so. His golf game wasn't good last year, and I don't know that it's going to be good enough this year, but I think there are some spots individually that we could look to invest in him later on in the season.
Rory, 33%. Bryson DeChambeau, 29%. Rahm actually catching a little steam here at 24%. Oberg at 21%. Those are the favorite guys on the tour. But for my money, I love sometimes, Joe, just going against the grain. Give me the no on Scotty Scheffler and give me the yes on Brooks Koepka coming back to the PGA Tour and saying, this is the place I always was supposed to be. Prediction Markets Edge. We'll be back right after this short break.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
New York Giants, they fired their head coach, Brian Daboll. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Awesome offensively, and in reality, they weren't awesome offensively. In the first half, they just had the Kawan Lacey broken play. I hate to say this because I do not want to take away credit from everybody who went on the run that they went on. But I think it's fair, maybe you won't, to wonder if that result is different if Lane Kiffin sticks around and everybody else with this Ole Miss.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Prediction Markets Edge. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Raineri. A lot of fun we're having on this show today. Investments all the way across the board. Get in, get out, and get paid. And sometimes, Joe, we look at the landscape of sports and say, okay, let's make our headway here. How about a little political landscape here? Let's have some fun. Jerome Powell out his chair. How about that question right now? Before May 2026, there's a 10% chance. Now, Jerome Powell has been the Fed chair since 2018. He served 2 terms under Trump, 1 under Biden, but also he's getting a little bit of heat, Joe, by not lowering interest rates soon enough, and also a lot of cost overruns on the Federal Reserve building, which could come into play here. Wacky times, but the question is, when will Powell be out as a chair, or maybe, Joe, not out at all?
Yeah, this is what we like to refer to as maybe the free money yield here, right? Betting no at 95 cents yields you a big, nice, shiny 5% return in 2 months here, Donnie? But from a macro look here, unless there is some sort of major health crisis or something going on, Fed chairs don't get fired midweek. This is the closest thing that you'll find to like a bond yield in prediction markets. It's boring, but it is safe capital preservation here, and it would only be no for me.
Joe, in early November, he was trading at about 24 to 25% as a chance to be out. He's now down 10%. You can slide over that bar graph and go all the way and see where it winds up on days like today, trading at 10%. But also, the rule summary on this one, Joe, pretty specific. If Jerome Powell is no longer chair of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, not merely announcing he leaves office by April 30th, 2026, then it resolves to yes. So, Joe, he actually has to be out. It's not one of those, hey, I'm going to retire like a football player and play this season. He must be out by that date.
Yeah, and again, likely at 95% or so here, that's the free money aspect of it there. That's an investment where it's not going to be a huge return, right, Donnie? But ultimately, it feels like, you got a much better shot at this not happening than it happening at all.
Correct. Looking at Kalshi, $100 investment pays back $110. People don't like to be forced out at any time and just might hang around just to spite that as well. So a lot of stuff going into it. Much better price points months ago, but we'll see. Hey, whenever the president talks, some of these markets certainly going to change. Also, what the president is talking about, capping credit card rates. That would be a standing ovation from a lot of families out here. Joe, we see 9%, 15s, 17s, bad credit people getting 30% on credit cards here. The question is, the banks make a lot of money. The banks have a lot of influence here. It sounds fantastic if credit card rates could be capped. I don't know if it's coming, though, Joe. How about you?
I don't know. It looks like, right, there's some dates associated with this, right? I mean, this year, 29, by March, 27. You know, that's telling me the market believes that if this happens, it likely happens immediately via an executive order or something along those lines. But there is almost zero belief and only a 2% difference here that this grinds through Congress later in the year. So if you believe in the policy, I would look to invest in the March contract at 27 cents. It's cheaper, and the market is telling you that the timeline is now or never. Don't pay the extra 2 cents for the full year because you don't need it. You're wasting your money at that point.
By the way, January 10th, Joe, this was a hot topic. It was trading off at 57% right now as a chance. Now we're down here to 31%. If you say yes, that it will happen, that'll pay you back, that'll get that investment back of $323, but also has to be done by January 1st, 2027. So you have this whole year to get it done, which then brings us up to the next conclusion of, will there be another U.S. government shutdown by January 31st? We just got done with the government shutdown, but this marketplace opened up here around November of 28%. Now you swing it all the way over, Joe, down to 25% as a yes here trading. How about that?
Yeah, isn't this so funny? Because when we talk about things like this in these categories, right? We're always, everything, look at the ups and downs of the graphic, right? Everything is about headlines and in the moment, right? Every year we hear about shutdowns. So 25 cents is one of these heightened alert, but not panic prices here. And we know that shutdown markets usually spike to around 40 to 50 cents the week before the deadline, and then they crash to zero right around the 11th hour when the deal is signed. So if you're buying yes at 25 cents now, you're looking to sell at 40 cents next week. So because the headlines, Donnie, are only going to get crazier.
$100 investment on yes at Polymarket will pay you back $400. Also understand this, on the rules, partial shutdowns count as shutdowns. So how about that, Joe? Partial shutdown for one day, you'll be able to cash that ticket in there, and away you go. Some interesting topics all the way across. Will we have shutdowns and much more? Crazy stuff out there in the marketplace. But that's what we do, Joe. Prediction Markets Edge. Joe Raineri, Donnie, Rightside. We'll see you next time.
But it's fair. You've got to levy some sort of fine, so to speak, for, defecting. And I think they've done a wonderful job of being equitable and punishing him a bit at the same time. I think Brooks ultimately wants to be playing with the best.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
New York Giants, they fired their head coach, Brian Daboll. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.